poster from 1977 now.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
It's 1977?
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm giving him a t-shirt for 2023.
Oh,
of the Inglewood Jazz Festival.
all right. Almost as good as being there in
There
person.
you go, almost.
Yeah.
Almost, just that.
Well, we're not going down to Indiana tomorrow to see the total eclipse, but between you and me, I bought Gina a t-shirt,
Okay.
the eclipse t-shirt,
Okay.
so at least she has the t-shirt.
There you go.
All right, take it away, my friend.
Thank you. So, a lot has changed, and I guess, staying the same as well. Since we've been here in 2019, I thought it was 2018. Jonathan and I, we were going back and forth. When was the last time we were here? 2018? We knew it was before the pandemic. We knew that, so, that pandemic was something else. Man, that was an eye opener, wasn't it? So, we need to be vigilant, we need to be prepared, and we need to ward off all those bad spirits and all that kind of stuff. So, it's an honor to be here with the panelists, particularly on the eve of this eclipse. We're going back home because we had better sight tomorrow. We got 90-something%. I thought it was going to be more here. I was going to stay here, but then I saw that there was more in Chicago. I said, well, we'll get out and go home and see the eclipse. They said the next total eclipse in our area won't be in what, 2044?
Yeah.
In this general area? Right, so that's a long time away. I mean, we need to take advantage and live every day like it's, the last day. So I like to tell these stories, man. Don't pay me no attention. We got that packet colors on, man. Football fan. We're gonna get you, bro. One day. No. But I'm celebrating Ramadan, so I was telling the guys up here that about this time of day I get really crazy and giddy because I'm ready to eat. That's why I was looking at you when you came in with those chips. I'm like, damn, I'm hungry. So anyway, we're gonna enjoy ourselves. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be artistic. We're gonna be serious about what we're doing as well. So I always like to, throw some humor into what we do because, like I said, we need to, take ourselves kind of lightly and enjoy our experiences because these experiences here on earth are very fleeting. You know what I'm saying? And so I said that to say my father told me something a few years ago. He said, look, Ernest, it's going to come a time when you can't do what you want to do or you need to do. So do everything you want to do and need to do now. So that's how I live my life. So without further ado, Jonathan Woods as our VJ, give it up for him. Zaii, give it up for him. So I had to talk about him. Not that I'm not going to talk about Jonathan Woods. I'm talking about Moses. So I met you in high school, right? With Whitney Young. Yeah. So he's going on to have this illustrious career in music. He's an inventor of what now?
The note portals is an instrument that I don't have to touch or make sounds or wave my hands back and forth.
And I was trying to get him to bring it out today, but he said we didn't pay him enough. I'm just putting that out there. Because we want the whole 9 yards next time, right? We want the entire experience. So his previous name is Everett Reed. He changed his name to Nova Zaii, and I kept calling him Nova Zaii. Yeah, people just laughing. Nova Zaii. Nova Zaii on drums and electronic shit. Give it up for him. My name is Ernest Dawkins, Dawkins, and I'll be on saxophones and a lot of electronics. So Thank you. don't know. There's something that's in, you know, I'm a member of the ACM, long time ago. So, Vandy Harris used to have this group. He was an older guy, now deceased member of the ACM. He's older than us. He used to have this group that's called Intuitive Research Beings. And that's what the music is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about intuitive research, and you're supposed to listen to the music. See, and that's the whole point, is to listen to the music rather than play the music, because it's a different interpretation when you're trying to play the music rather than when you're listening to the music and then and listening to what the music is telling you what to do. Because see, the older I get, the more I understand I need to listen to the music, because the music will tell me what to play, when to play, at the most opportune times. And that's the key. That's the real key. I'm not going to say anything about what some people do and what some people don't do. You see what's there. But for me, it's about listening to the music. Yes.
At what point do you combine playing with the visuals?
You want this?
I would say from the beginning, I think one of the prompts we used was to let Jonathan start off with some visuals. And I treat, you may have seen me turn my head a lot, I basically treat everything that I'm doing as a live score, you know, to it. It's happening kind of as a centralizing visual grounding force for all of us to experience the same thing together. And I think a lot of people can have visuals as kind of like the afterthought, you know, behind the music. But I think what's cool with what Jonathan is doing is that he's improvising. So he's having a conversation with us as we're playing. And especially towards the end there, when he brings up more concrete visuals like a heartbeat, you know, we all then can interpret what that might mean in conversation with the music, you know. So that's when I turn off the snares. That's when I started to get into not necessarily an explicit heartbeat, but something that was inspired by this feeling of like warmth, concave, you know, embrace, but also life-giving and consistent, you know. So that's when I went from doing more sporadic phrases to something a little bit more elongated and drawn out like a heartbeat, you know.
And to me, it's different. I try to go sometimes counter to what's being visually presented, because to me, that's the interpretation of the music. Sometimes I can go with it, sometimes I can't go with it. But that's the whole point. Like, so when we were coming up, people would tell us, play red. And we would have to interpret red. Play green. So after you play red and then you play green, well, what's the difference between red and green? So what do people mostly associate with color red musically? Anger, what else?
Passion.
Huh?
Passion.
Yeah, what else?
Energy, fire.
Fire, right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So what's the difference between that and green?
Green is gold. Red is gold.
I know, but I'm just saying, what's the contrast between the color red, if you're playing color red, and color green?
Green's hotter.
Huh?
Green is hotter.
It's hotter? Okay.
Interesting.
It's what?
Interesting.
Okay.
It's growing.
It's
It's got
like-
life.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So you can go and interpret that literally, or you can interpret that artistically and go against whatever it is. So if red is hot or fiery, you can go soft and sweet. You see what I'm saying? But that's the experiences that you have in relationship to playing those, because it's about concepts. You see, red is usually more continuous sort of sound, and you could go angular, if I'm making any sense. Right. Sure. I said that to say is because you can interpret the most obvious of visuals. You know, it's the thing is, how do you create a relationship to that? You see what I'm saying? Because there's several ways to do it, and not one way is the right way. You can use all the ways if you're listening to the music.
done this project with more musicians than,
I haven't done this project, well, I did it with about 5 musicians before.
4, 5 at once, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But a trio is a good start. Maybe you add a quartet, or maybe even a dancer.
So when we did the Frederick Douglass for the,
But that wasn't this. It was sort of, we used some aspects of this, right? Because we had a dancer, we had a vocalist, we had a poet, the whole thing.
What strikes me is, so this is the second time I've got to hear this trio.
Right.
What strikes me is just how tight this trio is. It's not visuals going on simultaneous
Right.
with the instrumentalists. There's so much counterpoint, as you say, and then continuity and discontinuity. It's so fluid that it's as tight as 3 instrumentalists can be after a long time working together. And that comes from all of your sensibilities, not just the video.
I should say also that these two guys have no idea what it is that is going to be saying. They don't know any.
No, we haven't seen the visual.
They haven't seen anything at all.
That's
right.
So it's completely like whatever it is that kind of feel and flow from them as well. So,
What goes into your choices then when you're putting your arsenal together for this trio? What do you think about?
well, from the beginning, someone said the eclipse. So I said, oh, let me go with the sun. So I started there, and I just kind of trust
There you go.
wherever it is that we kind of just go. It's just kind of trust and and listening to them.
So none of your images were planned beforehand at all?
Not the order of them.
Okay.
I know that there were certain things that I was drawn to, and so I decided to just put them in a whole bank of different visual material. And the other thing too, the effects and other kinds of things, the montage and crossover, all of those things are also improvised effects and things like that as well. So when I'm doing something, when things are swirling around or stretching, all of that is also the same kind of thing, where it's based upon what I'm hearing, everyone do.
I wanted to ask you, the 3 of you have a lot of opportunities to get together without an audience, like just rehearsing and playing around, or just like playing together?
Not really. I'm playing different projects of mine with Jonathan, so we get a chance, we have a familiarity relationship to conceptual situations. But the trio, we don't rehearse that much. He just moved back to Chicago, a few months ago? Yeah, so he was in Detroit for a long time. So he wasn't here physically. So now we'll do some things. But you know what? With this trio, I don't want to we had a rehearsal the other day, and when we hit it, I said, rehearsal's over. We got to the point, I said, no, the rehearsal's over. Let's just carry that through to we didn't rehearse that long, did we? No, we didn't rehearse that long. So when you hit it, you just have to, okay, that's it. Strike and go. And hopefully we can, not reproduce, but get to that same essence of what it was when we left off. So, and right. So then I want to keep the group together, so hopefully we'll start rehearsing. Maybe once a quarter, you know what I'm saying? Just once a quarter. Talk about some concepts.
I think it was very interesting how the visuals had a lot of symmetry, a lot of pattern, and the music itself carried over into that. There was a lot of like call and response with the self, and then a very symmetric kind of feel to a lot of the improvisations, and I thought that was really interesting. I didn't realize that you were improvising images, so that working together was, to me, very interesting.
I have to say that, the whole thing is splendid comes to mind. I mean, it just washes right over
Yeah.
it. And I love that you spoke of colors, and right away it made me think of Elvin Jones, who always spoke of his drumming in terms of color. And it was just beautiful to listen to him. So when I heard that, it just right away, it's really marvelous.
Yeah, that's the concept of this group, to kind of give you that wash, that complete, spiritual wash. Cleansing, that's what it's supposed to be. That's the whole point. That's the idea. That's the idea.
What do each of y'all learn from playing with your instruments in new ways?
Well, I have to learn all these things. Look, you see how the music thing, all the effects, you know. So I just have to kind of have a mental note of what effects I want to use. And I don't have a preconceived idea of when I want to use it. It's just that I have to have a mental, I have to have like a map in my head. This is the sound I want to use. Let me get to this sound so I can use it at this appropriate time within the music. It's not pre-designed. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and also just like, you know, when you're making noises with your instrument that you wouldn't maybe necessarily, like if you were performing a classical concert, like you wouldn't hear a person do that with that instrument. You know,
Oh, yeah.
doing something that you're not supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of that. Sometimes too much of it.
For me, a lot of it is like the room. I like what you said about the pedals because this offers a whole universe. I mean, this is just one pedal, but it's like a whole. It's a powerhouse of sound that can come out of just this, and then you can morph that. So it takes what's the information that I feed it, and I can transform it throughout a journey of effects and manipulation. But then the room also. I mean, the room, from room to room. Like when you listen, for that point about listening. The information is being processed in the moment, so there's a lot, like you're saying, learning, and I think about like how you're taking in information and processing it, manipulating it, and then filtering it through your own system. A lot of that has to do with like the presence of this particular moment, which will never be, this is different than a Carnegie Hall, this is different than a sidewalk, you know, it's like, the learning is kind of in the moment and being present to what's happening right here and now. And you brought up the visuals too, and your attention going into that, then it just creates a whole spontaneous universe to then develop within itself. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it just has to do with the present moment. That's what I'm saying.
And then if we had the same thing tomorrow with the same amount of people, it would be totally different. It would be different.
It would be beautiful still.
Oh, yeah. Different.
I know with my instrument, what I try to do is I do my best to step out of everything that would always be beautiful, not to be afraid to on occasion be ugly or asymmetrical or put something together that may not fit. You know, that kind of thing. I'm sorry, someone else?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, with your setup, you're able to be as fluid as they are, because there were things where when you were playing the snare, it was really a lot of delay. But you don't hang on to it for a long time. And that's the advantage of kind of what new electronics can do for you.
Yeah.
They're not locked into, I gotta play this whole piece with delay.
Yeah.
And but you have a real fluidity with it that I like because some of those effects like delay is, you know, you think, I always think of tape delay, I think of the things that Rod did in the 60s with tape, multiple tape, reel-to-reel tapes and stuff. But you have that, but then it's gone.
Yeah.
You pull it in and then it goes away, and the others are playing this counterpart to it. It's just fascinating, all of them.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, particularly when there's what's called input effects, that's real time you know, I hit it and then you hear the effect immediately, and then there are output effects. So I'll record a loop of me playing, and then that's what ends up getting locked, like you're saying, it gets locked into routine. So I try and take advantage of the fact that I have both the static loop, which can repeat over and over again, but I want to contrast that with something that has more variability to it, so it doesn't get so monotonous, you know? Because it's real easy with loops to just get lost in the loop, and then all of a sudden it's tired of hearing the loop. You know what I'm saying? But then you have the advantage of a real instrument to dance around the loop and recreate and take an effect in and take it out and put it back in and like be more immediate with it, you know, hands on. So I like that observation.
Yeah.
What do the people out there say?
Right. In the metaverse.
Now the people are streaming,
Right.
because they can chat, right? Is anyone out there listening? This sucks.
Yes, there is a delay though, so.
Did anybody say anything in the chat?
Besides good evening and no.
Tell them we want to hear their comments.
They may be speechless.
Well, that's good. Thank you. Yes, you're right. Cool. Any comments from out there in streaming land? No?
It's always very exhilarating hearing you play there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
All of you. It's a beautiful concert.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm still like, whoa.
I'm still looking at the
Cool.
heart.
And it was a beautiful beginning with the solar images because, you know, we've got eclipse on the brain, but the other day I heard some scientists on the radio talking about what a marvelous cosmic coincidence the eclipse is, because the sun is 400 times larger than the moon,
Beautiful.
but it's also, the moon is 400 times closer. And in many, many years from now, it's not going to be a perfect eclipse
Right.
anymore.
Right.
And then I was listening to your music and thinking about how that's kind of the core of improvisation. It's just inviting these beautiful cosmic coincidences to happen. So it was very nice.
That's right.
Amazing.
So I have to look at that eclipse tomorrow. Experience it. It's not going to be there forever, as you say. No. Nothing lasts forever. Thank you for that comment.
That would be amazing.
Thank you for the music.
Amazing.
We're not gonna wait till the next eclipse to have you back.
All right.
20 years.
Gotta be before that.
And I have a nice dancer. I think she'd be really nice for this. The one that did, the last one that did, the piece. She was good. Was she from Deeply Rooted? Yeah, she's good. She'll tear that middle of that floor up. She's really good.
Jonathan, in your other work, do you have many opportunities to play in a trio or really improvise with other musicians? Or is this a kind of not common thing for you?
Well, kind of. Years ago, I started a monthly performance series at a place, actually somewhat like this in Chicago, called Elastic Arts. And we started a monthly music series for experimental, BIPOC artists. And so that's been a lot of fun. But we still do have that series, but because of additional responsibilities, I don't have time to say get together with an artist and plan ahead of time what visuals are going to be. So what ends up happening is they may tell me a couple of things about their songs, or I may just be familiar with some of their music. I may listen to a little bit of it ahead of time, and so there may be one or two images that I may get together, and then when they perform, I will go ahead and do some light improvisational kinds of things. But I usually don't use the material that you see here. I usually use other things, but it is still something which is completely improvisational. And this doesn't happen like every month. There are some artists who, they just want to, perform without any, visual material. So it's kind of special when I do get the opportunity to do that. But honestly, I've just always been a complete junkie for anything which is surreal and which is beautiful and which is poetic visually. So yeah.
Boy, if I was playing an elastic, I wouldn't pass up an opportunity for it.